yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow, 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 follow. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. You'll find he is a whiz of a whiz, if ever a whiz there was. If ever a whiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does. You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
And we're back for kind of an impromptu stream here, spontaneous, last minute. But this Ariana Grande situation, I've been sort of watching it for a day or so here, and things are getting kind of heated up. So I figured may as well jump on and have a little discussion here. So I hope everybody's had a great weekend, safe and happy weekend at least. Hope everybody stayed out of trouble, got some sunshine. Good to see you guys. Skunky's here, Mystery Diva, Annie, are you okay? Hold your horses. David James, Katie, good to see you guys. I don't know if this chat's loading properly just yet. Probably give it a minute or so here to kick in, take off the dust. But, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on, right now with this Ariana situation, and I guess I kind of was waiting, to just see what the reaction was going to be to it, because, I don't know, it seemed like it was quite the statement that she was making, and, I think that a lot of the people's reactions right now are almost proving her point, people that are getting all freaked out about, the body image side of things. So yeah, I wanted to touch base with you guys and bring it to the table. Because a lot of people, I think, more so are missing the whole point of the video. Now I can't like play the actual music video. I don't think. I think probably we'll get in trouble for that. So what we're gonna kind of do is kind of go through the frames, like go through the key frames and just the sections. Like you can kind of, it says a lot without really saying much. And then we're going to have a look at the lyrics as well. She does say a lot with the lyrics too. But it does read like it's its own little storyline, you know, and right off the bat, it seemed very like Mulholland Drive and a little bit like Eyes Wide Shut to me, you know. It's got a little bit of the Lynchian and the Kubrick vibes. Hey Katie Ray, hey Euclidean, good to see you guys too. Welcome everybody. We'll wait and give you guys another minute or two to get everybody in and settled, find your seats before we get right into her here, but Yeah, the more I was reading into it, and it's kind of it writes or it reads as like a short film also, like the way it's presented, and it gives you a warning in the beginning here, and it reads as a film. It's they're saying it's a film, but it's still just a little music video, right? But right away, there was things I picked up on about it that stood out to me. Um, but it is definitely one of those things that, and like a David Lynch film, you got to watch it a handful of times, I think, to pick up on stuff. And each time I was picking up on different things, things in the background, different references. And the more I was watching it, the more I liked it. The more I was feeling it was like it's a complete masterpiece. For the statement she's trying to make, for the woven in references, the pop culture stuff, the right away too, the love me not thing, the she loves me not, or he loves me not, and picking the flower or whatever. So I feel like just the petal symbolism there is there. And growing through the cracks, that's a big theme of it. Plants growing through concrete and showing like the resilience and the strength. But there's a lot going on here, and I think a lot of people are concerned, but to the point of where it's like abusive concern, and I think they're reading it kind of backwards of the way that it's intended. And I mean, obviously, it's just my own opinion too of how I've interpreted it. So this is where I kind of wanted to have the discussion with you guys too, because obviously everybody's interpreting it differently. I'm seeing a lot of different people weighing in, and some good, some bad, some awful. A lot of people are saying really awful things about her too, and just kind of making fun of her, which I mean, we're at a at this day and age to still be in that space is just kind of disappointing now. It's it used to be more so like infuriating, but now it's just I don't know, it's gotten old, like it's so easy to get on the bully train and be in these hive mentality, jumping on the bandwagon thing. And I kind of think that some of it's a little more of a coordinated effort to bring her down, like there's more hate coming for different reasons versus it actually being an authentic uh issue with the video or with the song or anything like that. I guess she did recently, like this year, has set up her own record label now, and this album's coming out under her own label. And I guess she's also been very heavily supporting the rescue and aid efforts in Gaza right now too. In the recent past or whatever, there's some things she's doing that I think are ruffling some feathers. So I think that some of the interpretations of the video aren't necessarily coming from human beings, whether they're chaos agents or just cold-blooded serpents, vipers, parasites, what have you. There's a lot of mixed feelings coming out. But anyways, right off the bat, with this pedal video, I don't know if have you guys seen it? Have any of you guys seen it so far? I guess is probably a good place to start. Or have you guys just seen stuff going around, or have any of you guys even familiar with it yet or heard of it yet? So I know it's still very brand new. It's just kind of starting to hit the scene, and people are really only just now starting to really talk about it, from what I'm noticing. But did you guys have any opinions just so far? You haven't seen it yet, Mystic Musings. You've watched it, Katie Ray, yeah. Hey, Ivermectin, yeah, yeah. So some of you guys have kind of seen it, or at least you've heard about it so far. It's making its rounds. You saw it yesterday, Claire Catherine. Right on. Have any of you given it more than one watch? I guess have any of you been picking it apart so far, or are you gonna be? This is gonna be like a first time round of looking at the nitty gritty of it. I think at first glance it's so much too. It's almost like it runs past in such like a uh it's done in such a way the pace of it is like you almost can't absorb it all at once. You almost have to watch it multiple times. Popped into your feed after watching a new Katy Perry video. Oh, I didn't know Katy Perry had a new video. I know she's been dinking around with Justin Trudeau, but I guess it is still pretty fresh. But yeah, I think some people are starting to kind of really notice the stuff going on here, and what they're saying. But anyways, to start off, basically, it's like a young, fresh star coming to Hollywood, like kind of first audition, the naive innocence, of it, and the little Daisy is looking fresh. It's it's made its way through. It made it there. It's fine. Everything's fine. Going for the audition, and a lot of this, it's the way it's framed and the way it's stated is very like she's right off the bat making statements here. Major studios are calling for new faces who can follow direction and have a good personality. Like, simple as that. It's not really about talent. It's not really about it's just follow the direction and just be charismatic or whatever, right? To be able to network. Fame Inc. And it's just, yeah, obviously to look a little old fashioned. It's like kind of a throwback to old Hollywood in a such a way, obviously too. But this is where I was starting to get the Mulholland Drive vibes, where she first arrives and she's, I'm here from Deep River, Ontario, and she's comes to watch the aunt's apartment or whatever while the aunt's away shooting a film, and she's coming to start doing auditions, and she's so like bright faced and excited, and it's such this new like chasing her dream. But the whole thing of Mulholland Drive, I don't know if you guys seen Mulholland Drive? Has anybody here seen Mulholland Drive, or at least somewhat familiar with that? And or Eyes Wide Shut, because to me it feels like as if Eyes Wide Shut and Mulholland Drive had a little baby, like a little miniature baby, because it's just 6 minutes long, right? It's not a whole movie by any means, but it's a lot crammed into that little chunk of time. Makes bumping ugly so real. Yeah. That's kind of funny. Yeah, the whole, I don't know, I feel like it's the Katy Perry Justin Trudeau thing is just like it's kind of like a distraction. I feel like Katy Perry's at the scene of every distraction. And her going to space and all that stuff, whatever the heck was going on there. I like the truth that she portrays. They criticize her no matter what, which is when she absolutely snaps at the end. Well, and that's kind of where I was getting the vibe of the whether they love me or love me not, like, with the Petals thing, the love me not, whether they do or not, she's gonna do whatever she's gonna do. It's like it seems very like a war cry and taking her power back in a lot of ways. But yeah, some of you guys, you've seen Mulholland Drive. Okay, so you'll get what I'm saying as far as it's starting off with that hopeful Hollywood arrival. You know, this especially like when there's that, when they're Naomi Watts, the character she's playing, she's looking up, and the way the camera is and stuff, it's very reminiscent. Because obviously Mulholland Drive 2 is kind of set in different eras. You almost can't pin what era it's supposed to be set in, but the movie that they're filming within the movie is um it's set like in the 50s, 60s. But right away, so Fame Inc., it's like the big building, and obviously right on Hollywood Boulevard, where all the stars are. And, I think we've started to see more of the themes of the horror of this stuff. Like with, I don't know if you guys watched The Substance, was really good recently too. In the last couple of years. They're getting a little more in your face and provocative about the dark sides of things. But anyway, so she's, fresh faced, comes in, gonna do her first audition. Lady doesn't give a shit. Whatever, you're here. I'm Pepper, or whatever. I think she says her name's Pepper. I'm here for the audition. Lady's like, yeah, whatever. So you and everybody else, take a number. Away you go. So they get in, and actually I will let this scene play for a second here, but hold on, with no sound. The jerking in this, the way that they do this scene with the chairs, it's like an assembly line, kind of like a conveyor belt of people, which it's to me is like indicating the pipeline of fresh faces coming through, everyone with a little bit of a different style, a different background, but they're all on this conveyor belt of the manufactured stardom, and I think considering Ariana Grande was, she was one of the very manufactured, fabricated, came up like kind of was groomed in the the Disney sphere, Nickelodeon, Dan Schneider era. There's a lot going on there. There was a lot for her coming up in the last couple of years too. So I think that she's making a pretty bold statement with this, and I think that obviously, yeah, this last couple years, especially with the Wicked stuff, people have been having these concerns, and she's been saying some questionable things, but she has been doing some pretty serious, like deep trauma therapy, especially since around like 2023, 2024. She'd made references to it. The Brighter Images Lab, she was kind of making Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind references about like having her mind erased at this Brighter Images Lab. But if you look into that, it is an EMDR therapy clinic, and EMDR therapy is very common for people that have suffered complex trauma. So we're gonna go into that too. I've got a few articles and stuff, or not articles, but a couple browsers up and ready, like with some of the lyrics for some of the songs, other songs on this album too, that are saying some pretty powerful things. But then this trauma and EMDR clinic, this Brighter Days therapy clinic. But anyways, it was kind of natural that she is going through a really rough go, having these realizations about certain things, in relation to the show. If you guys have been following, I did share one of the clips, in one of the videos. I can't remember which one now. It might have been in, the Brittany Murphy or something. I don't even know now. But, there's a clip in this interview she does where, she's talking about how when they were filming the Sam and Cat and with Dan Schneider and everything, and just other stuff with the Nickelodeon, in the Nickelodeon sphere, that there'd be stuff that would get turned down by the executives, like it was too much for TV, it was like going too far for TV, but they wouldn't just scrap it, and like that doesn't erase that they made the kids do it, first off, but then they would load it up onto the fan sites. So like they knew what they were doing. They were catering to a certain other audience. Yeah, exactly. The juicing a potato, and then there's the foot stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. If you guys been following, and you watch the Amanda Bynes stuff, you guys know what's going on. But anyways, all of that started kind of flooding back to her during this Wicked era. So I think people thought that there was something really weird with the Wicked, the movie, and like with Cynthia Erivo. And not to say that there's not an unhealthy eating disorder dynamic happening here, and not to negate the very obvious, like as we're going through this, because I think that's the main thing a lot of people are concerned about, that whether or not this is a bad role model for youths, and because she is very to the point of seeming like it's gotten to an unhealthy point, but that is the point. That is the point of the video. She's almost trying to say like, this is really fucked up, and I'm really fucked up. Things are fucked up, and this is why. This is why. But people are so focused on the, oh my God, she's so fucked up. Like, this is fucked up. Something's fucked up, or whatever. There's something's wrong here. That they're missing the point she's making of like, yes, but let's point at why. Like, let's look at why people are fucked up. Why the youths are fucked up coming through this conveyor belt here. So right off the bat, like I said, I'll play a little bit one more time here, and seeming like all full of life. Everybody's happy. Everybody's like, okay, yeah, we're getting our shot on the assembly line here, and very robotic. I think the motions, the fact that they're making the motions very robotic in itself is giving is a statement. How they're moving very, like I said, like robotically, and then is seeming like an assembly line or a conveyor belt. And then they're all waiting to get into this room that very much reminds me of like the meeting rooms with the Mulholland Drive, where the whole thing with Mulholland Drive is that these girls are going in to do these auditions, but the actress is already selected. So no matter what any of these girls do, they're gonna get rejected going into that one audition on Mulholland Drive, right? So the overall problem with a lot of this too is there are standards that nobody can meet because it's predetermined. So I think there's a double edge here of like, she's almost adding more to that story, like that there's already these impossible standards, there's already a lot of rejection, there's already a lot of this stuff going on in the industry that causes these body image issues and causes a lot of the trauma just by going through the pipeline of it, whether or not there's harms or trespasses happening along the way, right? But in Mulholland Drive, basically, none of the girls were going to be able to make it either way, because this guy had been threatened to choose the star for that particular film, and he had to go through the motions of pretending to audition anyways, right? So even there's a lot of cases where some of these people will feel that they're just not good enough and nothing they're doing is good enough, but it's not even that what they're not doing isn't good enough, it's just that they're not pre-selected yet. They haven't done XYZ that maybe is a different criteria, different requirements or eligibility that they're not necessarily up for doing, or it's, you know, they're not aware of it, or it's just, again, like it's a predetermined thing. But this scene with these guys, these old guys, it all very Mulholland Drive audition kind of sequence here. But as she's singing, she's doing her due, they're writing these little notes down, and if you read, like, these are very real, like, how she's been bullied over the years, the things people say about her, like, and I don't know if a lot of the people so far maybe haven't noticed this just yet, because a lot of people are basically echoing what these judgmental phrases are, or just like they're judging her in all these different ways, like that no matter what she does, it's not good enough. And by a lot of the people's reactions right now, it's further highlighting her point. It's further pushing the point of the body image standards, the way people dissect these things. And I mean, almost we're maybe doing it right now, and maybe it's not helping. I don't know, maybe it is. But these are just things that I've noticed to this that I thought that made this this bold statement that it's an artwork. It's a masterpiece in a way for how much she was able to pack into this little space. BS about erasing memory PTSD, otherwise everybody would have it. She was making a reference to Eternal Sunshine. They don't actually erase the memory, but it is trauma therapy to help with painful memories. So yeah, no, she wasn't actually erasing her memory. She was making a reference to the Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind movie and her album, which she called Eternal Sunshine. So it was almost like a little gimmick, like a joke. She wasn't actually having her mind erased. I think a lot of people took that and ran with it. But we're going to look at what the clinic is that she's referencing when she talks about that. But a lot of people, this is the thing. They'll take it, they'll run with it. They put this clickbaity stuff on it. They'll make a whole thing about it. Like I've seen, like I wanted to do something about this too, because I've seen all these cuts of this in like thumbnails where it's like they've extra edited or like cranked up the contrast or like gone an extra mile to try to make her look extra sickly, you know? And I think that it's very disgusting the way some people are twisting it and turning it and making it into a perverse thing, or a you know, just they're turning it upside down of what it's supposed to be, like turning it inside out of what it's supposed to be. But right off the bat, so lovely voice, very kind, but nothing special, boring on the eyes. And hold on, let's see if we can just nudge this along here so we can catch everything they say here. I'll just find a little bit here. A little homely, couldn't hurt to lose a few pounds. So this is like her explaining her journey of going into the industry already. Like already it wasn't good enough. Already she was very petite, slender build, you know. Like a lot of actresses, this is the same kind of stuff that Brittany Murphy was going through and had talked about before she had her untimely passing, which this is, I guess, why I want to highlight it, because obviously she is having a situation. She's obviously struggling. She obviously has an eating disorder. But why though, right? We're always looking at the outset of the trauma and not what caused the trauma. And she's literally screaming full blast at the top of her lungs what her trauma is and what has contributed at least to the body image issues. You know, like her former co-star Jeanette McCurdy in her book talks a lot about what had caused some body issues, some body dysmorphia issues, eating disorder issues. And this is her way of doing it. Ariana Grande's, her way of doing it is through her music and her videos, right? So she's making the statement that she realizes it's wrong, but this is how it got there. It's not that she's doing the wrong thing. It's not that she's messed up. It's the industry is messed up. And they would say these things about her or to her, or this is what, you know, either way, it was ruled that you're just not good enough, right? So right off the bat, not good enough. Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to get fucking dissected and cut the fuck up. You know, has to smile, walk away. The loves me not. It's losing petals, as you can see, as she leaves. So that's sort of, you know, indicating it's breaking her spirit as she's going along. It's, you know, she's losing a little bit of herself each time as she's walking out. So she leaves, she goes, she's going to reinvent herself. Don't worry. And this character here, right away, there's a few things that come to mind with this character that she changes herself into to come back. She's reinventing herself. Like, okay, I took your notes and here's I'm gonna try a new thing. And to me, right away, I was thinking like Sandy from Grease, but I guess she is very into the Audrey Hepburn era and like Breakfast at Tiffany's, which there is the outfit and the style that it seems like it could be touching on either or. Which, if you guys have anything else that pops out to you, this is where it kind of becomes a group project here. Like I can poke off and point out the things that I'm noticing and had noticed along the way and what I was thinking they were saying and what it was about. But yeah, the bad girl image to stand out. Exactly. Just in general, like, and if you've watched the movie Grease, Sandy switches into the bad girl, the greaser outfits and style and attitude to try to assert herself, right? So in such a way, but then also, yeah, like the Audrey Hepburn stuff. So it's a little bit of an edge of both. But so coming in on that and the more seductive, more provocative, the bad girl image, right? And again, the same conveyor belt going through the same motions, it's like the same humiliation ritual for all of them too. Like they know they're about to get cut the fuck up, but they want to be able to do what they love, they have to go through this situation. And it's same for both. It's whether they're going to be auditioning for a part for a movie or a show or music auditions, whatever the heck they're doing. It's the same pipeline, right? So same idea. Now she's in the office again. Here we are. And this is where, like with the leather jacket, this is where I was thinking, okay, it's Sandy from Grease and her movements and stuff, right? Where Audrey Hepburn, I think, was like kind of more like, I don't know, maybe she had a bit of the bad girl edge. I'm not as familiar with that era quite as much as I would have been with the Grease. The Grease is more my generation. But I'm sure Audrey had a little bit of an edge for the times. I mean, you could only go so far for the times, also from what you could kind of get away with, right? But this is where her mannerisms too is like, okay, well, I'll seduce them then. I'm gonna be, yeah, the bad girl. She's smoking, like with at the end, Sandy's smoking a cigarette, and they're looking at her like, who the heck is she? You know, She's supposed to be, good girl Sandy or whatever, right? So then again, they cut her up. They make notes, and it's still not good enough. But here, hold on, let's go back so you can see these little notes here, because it's very much she's saying exactly like this is what she feels has been the feedback she's getting all these years, and why she keeps trying to adjust herself and she's trying to be whatever she feels she needs to be to be able to do what she loves, right? Um, and Jeanette was jealous at the time that Ariana got to go to Tom Hanks' house to play charades. Yes, I love that you bring that up because I've pointed that out a time or two, and definitely a big part of my question is, okay, yeah, like what do you mean by playing charades at Tom Hanks? And I've done some of these the Tom Hanks deep dive, and we've been going through the iceberg files of it, and kind of giving some side eye to that whole sphere. So exactly, like, but what did she have to go through to get the level of fame that she had, right? Like when you look at from Jeanette McCurdy's perspective, she was looking up to Ariana thinking like, oh, like I wish I had that life. Now you see though, maybe Ariana Grande didn't have it so good. Maybe you didn't want to go play charades at friggin' Tom Hanks' house, because maybe that's not what that meant, and who knows what the heck that means. And when you think about the whole boiler room situation almost of that she was going through at the same time, like they were both going through their own hell in a way, and they were both in it together, but in some ways were being isolated and divided, and going through their own separate things. But anyway, so still very talented, but too much makeup now, no sex appeal, should get some work done, and maybe a new hairstyle. Okay, so well, she just came back and totally reinvented herself. She took all the notes, reinvents herself, still not good enough. Still gets the stamp of not good enough. Oh, well, I just like sold my freaking soul and became filthy and yeah, did the bad girl thing, and you still aren't into it. You can see her soul breaking, like the way she's conveying it with the facial expressions. And this is where almost it's better to watch it through and even without the music, because the music and the singing almost kind of distracts from the narrative that's happening through the video, like to separate it out. Like, and this is again why I watched it a few times, and I watched it like, yeah, with the music, without it, kind of slowed it down, went backwards, and I replayed a few parts, like whole, like, and the specific facial expressions and stuff are saying a lot, right? And to read these little bits and just, you know, these little extra tidbits she's throwing in there, right? So again, losing more of herself. And I guess these numbers, I was seeing some people breaking down these numbers and how they're referencing certain eras, certain albums. Like I've never really been a fan. I'm not as familiar with the Ariana Grande as I would be with, say, like the Britney Spears era and the Amanda Bynes and, you know, a little bit before this era. But I mean, obviously it's all the same pipeline. It's the same stuff. And artists are going to put these different little tidbits in so that if you know, you know, like for fans, for people that have been following, they're going to recognize this stuff. But anyways, I guess these certain characters she's showing is like it's representative of an era of time that matches with some of the albums and eras that she was going through. Like this is a representative of her own experiences in a way. It's maybe a little more of a in your face. It's like a magnified and amplified away in a way just so people can get it, hopefully, which still people weren't, a lot of people I see aren't getting it, but you guys I'm sure are more so getting it already anyway. I don't really have to lecture you guys, but I don't think a lot of people were getting the point of what she's saying. Like she knows she has issues, you know what I mean? She absolutely knows she has issues. But yeah, the Toddlers and Tiaras segment with Tom Hanks too, and like the what happened with that kid from that show, Kalia Posey. It's that's all sad too. The whole Tom Hanks thing is a whole situation. And SNL, yes, yes. You miss her dangerous woman era. You know, and that's part of this video in the lyrics is that they miss the old her. Like every time she's reinventing herself, trying to bend to what everybody's saying and everybody's criticisms, but then they're always saying, oh, we miss the old you. And that's part of the lyrics too. So it's funny that you're saying that you miss her bad girl era or whatever. But anyway, so she leaves, the petals, more petals are being lost. She comes back, pulls another number. She's coming in. And now this to me just said like, okay, you want a cash cow? I'll be the cash cow, right? Like here, milk me. You know, she comes in with seeming to have augmented parts of her body. The cow print to me is very symbolic. And, you know, what do they want at the end of the day? They want a cash cow, right? Like they're about the bottom line. They want to market. They want to be able to market her. And at this point, they call her desperate because this is she's in desperation at this point to be good enough. Still not good enough. That's literally, I think that's all they say is that she's desperate. One sec. But doing the whole thing, shaking her shit. Too much work done now. Where their last notes were, should get a new hairstyle, should get some work done. What were the last notes? Oh, okay, so she does that. Now it's too much work done. She's desperate. Now she's desperate for a job. Well, yeah, because she's been out in Hollywood for however long, trying to land an audition. She keeps reinventing herself, and you gotta assume that, yeah, like for these people to go through these major makeovers and to change their bodies and styles and all this stuff, it costs money. It's not cheap. It's not cheap to live in a place like that. So of course they get to the point of desperate. Of course they do. So that wasn't good enough. Still not good enough. Shaking it, cash cow, not good enough. Oh, still, really, I'm like really willing to sell my soul. I'm getting desperate now. I am over it. I'm getting over it. I'm smiling through it, but I am over it. All of the petals almost gone. Coming back one more time. Okay, let me go back to... And now it's more jerky. Like, now it's like going through the volatility of it and the psychological warfare of it. She's getting jerked around. Just getting jerked around. Keeps following the little notes they're giving her. So I'll let this play for a second. But again, I've got to be kind of careful here. But again, now not just the conveyor belt. Notice the jerking motions and throwing themselves, and they're like, it's like the exhaustion or the like having to throw themselves and the weight of it, carrying the weight of the rejection. And then still coming and trying to sing her little heart out. Just being herself again. Trying to go back to just being herself again. Trying to be her natural, normal self again. And they cut her off. And this part they stop the music. And it's just talking. And basically they say that she's inauthentic. She's unattractive. She's unmarketable. And this is again very very Mulholland Drive. Just, you're not good enough. There's no matter what you're doing, it's not going to be good enough. They're not going to be happy. They're going to say shitty things to you. which is what the entire internet's doing about it right now. No matter what she does, she's literally trying to lay her trauma out on a platter for everyone to see. Like, this is why, this is the problem, this is the pipeline, and it applies to everyone. Like, these kinds of standards and this kind of almost like auditioning for life happens in so many different ways. It's not even just body standards. There's different standards different people got to live up to in different industries, you know, in their everyday life, you know, trying to fit into a neighborhood, trying to fit in with friend groups, or they're trying to fit in with parent teacher shit, whatever. Like, there's all these different cliche type standards and groups within the hierarchy of, you know, the social hierarchy. And this is just proving her point. Like, if anything, the way that these people right in this segment, in the little in between part of it here, is, yeah, you're inauthentic, you're not even real enough. Where she's like, are you fucking kidding? Like, I've come back to just be myself again. I got rid of all the other stuff, came back to square one here, and it's still not good enough. It's still not good enough. And this is it right now. She's bearing her soul to the world, and all these people still attacking her. Like, oh my God, she's so sick. How do they let her do this? Why don't they get her help? Yeah, you don't think she don't need help? You don't think she's not been doing the trauma therapy and that's been a struggle for her? Like, we know that. We know that. Now what? Yes, and she had even said there was a song she did. Yes, and yes, she has issues. Yes, she has an eating disorder. Yes, she went through a lot of trauma, and it's coming through in a big way right now for her at her age, as she's reflecting and going through the therapy. But then what? And what? Now what? You know, are we going to acknowledge the trauma and be there and support her? Or are people going to start you know, and the tale as old as time, be tearing apart people for the outcome of their trauma? Like we saw with how they've done with Amanda Bynes and with Aaron Carter and all these people. Some of them no longer with us, some of them still with us, which this is why we need to change our tune and our attitude towards these people, because we'd like them to just stay with us. Why can't we just have more that can make it past 30, 40, can grow old and be happy and be able to do their art and not have all this judging and having to keep changing, you know, chasing this ever-changing goalpost of beauty standards and or just standards in general, title, class, all this stuff. 5 billion people staring at her, 8 people look at me, it fucks me up. Fair enough, ivermectin. Well, this is it too. Like, you gotta think everything she's doing is being looked at like under a microscope, and she's being combed like with like a fine-tooth comb of everything she does, and nothing she does is okay. I mean, she's trying her hardest right now to go back and face the trauma and face the whatever has fucked her up so bad. She's trying to become better. She's trying to work through it with her art. I guess she was on a hiatus for several years or something like that, or whatever, 5 some on whatever how many years since the last album or whatever. And she's just kind of started to come back with the Eternal Sunshine and with this stuff here right now. And then it's like, you know, the analogy of poking a snail in the eye. It takes all this time for a snail to come out of its shell and have its little eyeballs sticking out, and it's starting to look around and see what's up and make its moves, but you poke it in the eye and it's like right back into its fucking shell, you know? You think she's ever going to want to bare her soul ever again after this? And then she went and canceled this next musical thing she's supposed to do because all these people are making this whole big thing about her body, but she is purposely through this. She has changed the aspects of her body to show the obscenely impossible standards that she has been trying to mold herself into, right? Like, this is the point, you know, and then people took it and ran with it in the completely wrong direction. And I could see that being devastating for her in a lot of ways, that like she's really just trying to say it's she says in the lyrics, which we'll go and look at the lyrics here shortly, that we're just about done on the video portion of it. But you know, she's not having a cry for help. She doesn't consider herself a victim, but she wants people to understand what's going on. She wants people to hear and understand what she's feeling, you know? In the lyrics, in the video, she's saying it like in 4K, full chest, and still people aren't getting it. They're like, "Oh gosh, she looks sickly." Well, no, fuck. No shit. Like, this is the point. This is where she's gotten to, and this is where she's trying to come back from, and she's looking to get acknowledgement and support from from her fan base and just from society, and like to be like, look, yes, obviously something's wrong here, right? Like, let's all get on the same page, you know? So anyways, they're like, still not good enough. And she's like, okay, really gonna try and grin and bear it. Really don't know how much more of this I can face. The Wild West, I think the Wild West in the, you know, in the background here is like having to go through the ringer of the Wild West and just the old style of way of thinking, the patriarchy. Like, notice it's all these older men uh, running the show here, and they all look kind of rough, and like none of them are any good looking guys by any means, you know, like by the standards of conventional attractiveness. These are all really rough, funny looking, big eared, you know, bumpy nosed. You know, the one guy's got a black eye or whatever. Like if you go back to each segment, all of them have something, some physical attribution that's something's wrong with them, you know. And not that getting old or any of these blemishes or anything that there's anything wrong with that, but the contrast obviously. And yeah, you guys, somebody just had mentioned the Yummy video by Justin Bieber. That's definitely one that stands out also, of how all these people, the way that they're being shown in the video, it's making a statement, and he's talking about, you know, his childhood trauma and how he felt that he was being eaten up like food, you know, being devoured and consumed. And if you've watched the Degeneracy Files, you know it. We watched it. People putting their hands and mouths on him and grabbing his butt and trying to devour him. And he's just this kid, and it's sick. All these adults, you know. So yeah, it's a similar statement in the way, and how it's like, yeah, going through the Wild West, and all these, you know, old weirdo looking guys that are gonna come and sit here and tell you about how, here you get to kind of see him a little better here, each of them a little up closer. Like, so none of them are a prize winning anything. They're just the ones with the money and the authority or whatever, you know. So who even, like this guy? We got the Six Flags. You guys remember the Six Flags? And it was like, what, the Venga Boys or something? The, oh shit, I can't even remember exactly, but there's the, I think it was the Venga Boys. One of those, you know, catchy tunes with the commercial and the guy with the ears. The Venga bus is coming. No, maybe that is. I don't know if that's the song. There's one of those songs though. It's one of those old school songs. It's coming to me, that one of those really old school commercials. Anyway, she's like, okay, yep, I'll just go fuck myself. Cool, you guys are fucking assholes. Then it goes to straight to 90, and it's a little bit like a, you know, a little bit like kind of comic strip in a way, the way that she goes about this segment here. But also warning, if you have a weak stomach with some gore stuff. There is some gore stuff here for a moment, but it's intentional more so than being gratuitous. And I think also to be representative of like throwing back to like Carrie with the blood scene. It is pretty like, okay, I don't know if you guys really want to, yeah, it's a lot. It gets a little gory, but this is like all the rage and all the she's over it, you know? She's over it. Like full blast. And this is like little Nickelodeon kid once upon a time getting this to this level of anger and wanting to put this in a music video. Like, you got to think of the point, you know? Like, it's very like, this is the fucking storyline, and inside this is how she's feeling. She's feeling like she's just being slaughtered. She's gone through the slaughterhouse, like through the conveyor belt of, you know, lambs to the slaughter, right? Yeah, the bald guy with the glasses and the ears, you guys remember it. Yeah. I figured you guys would be, we got the older crowd here enough, you know, at least my age too, that you guys remember. You guys know it. It was a thing back then. And so yeah, it's a little bit, she goes a little bit extra to really drive it home. Blood all over the walls. A little bit Texas Chainsaw. A little bit, you know, kind of going on the edge of slasher. To the point of like, okay, let's just break it all down, because this whole patriarchy of the industry is fucked up. And she comes out looking the happiest she has so far, very calm, very collected, very much like, yep, I feel okay now. Which is craziness. Obviously, I don't want to ever condone any violence or harm or any of that, anything against any oneself or others. Clive Davis lookalikes too. Yeah, good call there, Brand. Good to see you. Yeah, you can kind of see how they're sort of representative of different heads of, you know, even maybe a little bit of Geffen in there. You know, there's a couple people maybe that she could be trying to represent the Kill Bill meets Pearl vibes. Oh, there's Lou Pearlman also is another one that could be meaning to be in there somewhere. Yeah, Pulp Fiction was very in your face about certain things. Yeah, you guys are getting it. You guys get it. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff. She saw a lot of stuff, exactly. Like, there's some weird stuff and pictures and stuff that went around in some of the circles she floated through. Like, obviously, there's a reason she's making such a strong statement, right? So anyway, she comes out covered in blood, and everyone's like, "Holy fuck, yeah! Actually, yeah! Fuck this noise! Fuck the conveyor belt! Fuck the contracts! Fuck them all!" And she's like, "Okay, yep." And the lady's like, "Good for you, bitch." Literally says it. This in between the singing and the songs, it stops, and she says, "Yeah," she says, "Good for you, bitch." It's the first time she even noticed her coming through there. That lady was also rude to her, but finally she shuts the shit down. It's Project Mayhem almost too, like a little bit of Fight Club. If Marla went and did the Project Mayhem in a way. But anyway, so everyone's really proud of her. Finally, everyone's like, "Holy shit, you broke the trance. You stopped the pipeline of the lambs to the slaughter." And then she's sitting in this little diner, which there's a few things going on here. And like, if you guys notice, if you, anything else you guys have noticed too, along the way, feel free to mention it. But this diner again, very Lynchian vibes. You bloom wherever you're planted, you know. So in this little fortune cookie that, and she's still just covered in blood, and nobody's noticing it, which I think in its own way is a statement that she's sitting in this public diner. Doesn't seem like anybody's noticing that she's been in a massacre, per se. So you bloom wherever you're planted, and in the background here on the window, I guess this is a reference to one of these other songs, this Big Feelings song. But the reveal at the end here is that she's been on a set the whole time, that this entire sequence has been a fake sequence. This is like the Silencio ending of Mulholland Drive, where they're like, no oi bandan, there's no band, it's all fake, it's all an illusion, and the woman singing isn't actually singing, and it's a whole thing, right? So this is that big twist moment, I guess, for the end, for the pinnacle moment of breaking the fourth wall. And he's like, "Be hopeful, dreamy, or be dreamy, hopeful, cut." And everybody's like, "Yes, you did a great job." And again, this is sort of reminding me of the Mulholland Drive, the Every Little Star. There's like the 50s sequences, the diner sequences, the smiling faces. Everybody's like, "Yeah, you did it." And after all, the whole thing was just a a sequence. Very crazy, very powerful. And so then she's leaving. This is it. She's gonna be famous. She's gone through the humiliation ritual. She did the thing. Now she's made it. Right? Everyone's happy. So great. Look at that. All the fame. And then now the flower renews itself. So it's like the restarting the cycle in such a way. Like, and I mean, I guess you could interpret this end part however you want. That was it. Is she faking it, or is she saying something? What is actually being said here? Right? Like this whole video is sort of, the whole thing is like, okay, yeah, she's telling some truths. This is a bold statement, but at the end it's like, just kidding. Which, if you guys know, with her, there's connections like with her and Jim Carrey and that kidding show she was on, that's sort of saying the same thing but about comedy, but in a sitcom type, or not, I guess a sitcom, but in a series format. I don't know if you guys saw that show, Kidding, but the Eternal Sunshine, obviously she's had this affinity towards Jim Carrey for whatever reasons. So between that though, and then there's the Kidding show, like, so there's some references here there too. There's definitely a lot going on though, and as you go through, I feel like, if you come from different eras, also this is where other people could probably contribute to a few different things. Like some of these people kind of stand out as different people from different eras. There's just the different time spans in, some of these outfits. They could be touching on some other actresses from old Hollywood as well that I haven't necessarily picked up on. But I think overall the message is being made. And I guess this Pepper character is sort of, there's a thread now through the albums. There was a song on the last album and a music video on the last album, or in this last cluster of singles, or whatever the heck you call them. This Pepper character, the Sorry I Made You Love Me, or something like that one. And I was kind of wondering, like, I kind of want to dig a little deeper on some of her other songs and just kind of get a little more of a feel of like where she was coming from and for that next era of people and what they were going through, because it's sort of, they've refined the tactics over the years of how they manufacture stardom and how they treat people in the industry. So I think that, seeing now how much she's been trying to say just in this stuff right here, that I'm sure there's more she's been saying before, and I guess it could have been attributed to like the whole Ethan Slater thing, that I hate that I made you love me or whatever. But I was kind of skimming over it, and it kind of almost, that even on itself is almost like to the fans, that she hates the fame in a way, but she loves it. She loves what she gets to do. She loves being an artist, but there's so much hellfire that comes with the fame and having a fandom and having to live up to the standards and having to live up to expectations, right? Yeah, Harvey Weinstein too. There, yeah, Weinstein or Stein, whatever the fuck. Good point, Bronner's pickle. Nice name, also. That's funny. That's fun to say. Um, yeah, Weinstein being one of these kind of old, funny-looking dudes that gets to decide the fate of these young, talented people. You know, that put all everything into their looks and into their image and into the stuff to be good enough, and then all of them look like a freaking potato. Talk about milking a potato. They're all potatoes. You know, a lot of them, anyways. Um, yeah, she's 33 now, which obviously, of course, there's the indicators there. But I mean, even without that, the amazing underlying undertones there, just being in your early 30s, you know, late 20s, early 30s is when a lot of trauma and memories and certain things you start to get more clarity. You know, you're looking at your past, your childhood and teen years from a more adult lens. You know, like when you're in your early 20s, you're kind of like a toddler adult. You're just coming into adulthood. You don't really know uh, what's going on yet. You're just kind of getting your footing, right? But by the time you're in your 30s, you're an adultier adult anyway, and can be reflecting on your childhood as the ages of people that were supposed to be looking out for you too, or the people that had harmed and trespassed against you. You know, you're getting that other perspective. Like, I would have never done that to my own child, or I would have never done that to, or you know what I mean? Like, you're able to kind of reverse a lot of the situations and get even more of a you know, a different, a renewed perspective that can be re-traumatizing, right? So this is where you see a lot of these youths that start struggling going into their, you know, their 30s, or once they've had kids, like with the Justin Bieber situation and the Aaron Carter, right? Like, he had a really rough go after having his first child, and now he's of course no longer with us. um at least she ain't promoting BBLs. Bravo to her. Fair enough. I mean, it's one way or the other, because then we have Rihanna right now is, yeah, kind of promoting the BBLs almost in a way. She's got the, I don't know, I was seeing there was posts about that too, of curves ahead or something like that. It's some promotion for some next thing, which is almost the contrast, right? But anyway, so for this video, these lyrics are for this particular video. Um, Trying to feel something real to cry again. They say the artist needs tears to write again. That, you know, like the trauma, you need almost a lot of, you know, from great suffering comes great art, sort of thing, right? That a lot of creatives use the trauma as fuel for their art or for their music or for whatever it is, right? Because all of my favorite stories end in some kind of catastrophe. I don't need someone to save me, because the music and I will never die. Which, you know, this could be kind of interpreted as like she's saying goodbye and she kind of knows she's getting close to an end, or she's thinking of taking an end note. You know, it could be interpreted in different ways, but yes, in a way that, you know, her legacy will never die. Her music will live on forever. This is something probably people will be studying 10, 20, 30 years from now. You know, in the way that we're looking at pop culture from, you know, decades prior, this is something that people are going to be looking at later. And in the way that we're looking at the Yummy video, or in the way that we're looking at whatever other, you know, the anti-diary of Rihanna, you know, which is another one I've wanted to pick apart at some point. But she even says it. It's such a fucked situation. It's a fucked situation. Like, she is literally saying it. It's a fucked situation. And here's why, right? Like, thinking back to this video we just watched, if these are the lyrics that go with it, yes, yes it is. But the pedal in the pavement, you know, like a flower growing through the concrete, how plants and trees can still grow through the concrete, and it's like the natural resilience and the human spirit. Just as long as she keeps getting it right, the heartbreak won't bite here in paradise. You know, again, you know, it's almost like Hotel California type stuff. Just keep doing what you're doing. You know, you can check out, but you can never leave. You know, it's almost a little bit touching on that, but it's paradise. It's paradise. You know, such a convenient conflation. This record in rotation, as long as she keeps getting the ovation each night. You know, as long as she keeps the fans coming back for more. As long as she keeps selling the records, she keeps selling the concerts. The won't bite, or heartbreak won't bite. It's paradise. But, you know, not all that glitters is gold, right? Like that's a lot of what we're starting to see, that, there's a reason some of these people, the most successful and wealthy people, can be the most depressed. Uh, Brings to mind Tupac's "The Rose That Grew from Concrete." Yes, same idea, same concept, same analogy, right? Because a lot of people come to the industry, they come from nothing, or they worked hard from nothing. They did a lot of modeling and a lot of things as a kid to work their way up to this. Like, they're perceived as like an overnight success in some ways, but you got to think a lot of these people that worked as kids and did a lot of the commercials and all these things before even getting a show with a Nickelodeon or Disney or whatever. Like, a lot of people don't see the hard work that goes into it beforehand, right? So even that on its own is coming up through the concrete. It's the process of coming through the concrete to even get to the surface in the industry, to be able to be seen in the industry. There's so much work to it. And then the tell me who's to blame. Is it the people or myself? Because who is to blame? Who has created this monster of body standard issues? You know what I mean? Like, this is a machine. This is a machine that on both sides, the people, the fans are putting into it. The energy that they're putting into it is feeding into it just as much as the machine itself, right? Yeah, Marilyn Monroe is another great example. Like, she was almost the prototype of a manufactured superstar, and we've seen it over the years, with the Britney Spears and Madonna, and like all kinds of them over the years, that they should be so happy about the glamour and the fame, and it's all glorified, it's all sensationalized, and still, until they start breaking down and it's not all so perfect. And then they all got excuses for that, like, oh well, she's got issues, she's got she's trying to get attention, or she's got this, or he's got that, like their addictions, or they're spoiled, or they're a wild child, or all these different phrases that turn it onto the victim, that create the scapegoat of the victim. And then the whole world is like the flying monkeys in a way, when you look at a narcissistic cult system, whether it's in a family dynamic or in society. The fans themselves are eating, like, devouring their own, in a way. They're doing the machine's work for it, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even have to be these old guys at a table. She puts this out, and everybody, like, tears into her like wolves, like a pack of friggin' wolves, tearing her apart. And she's trying to say it. Who's to blame? Is it the people or herself? Is this her fault, or is this the machine? Is this the fan? Like, whose fault really is it? Like, why don't we start asking the real questions, right? This time it feels so very different. This isn't a cry for help. Couple million for my thoughts, I've got plenty. Like, she got tons of money, she's not really asking for help. If she wanted help, she got the money to get the help. But I'm not a victim, bitch. I'm practically drowning in blessings. So she's saying, like, I'm not trying to complain. I can't really complain about the situation. This is something everybody wants. She's got something, she's the it girl or whatever. It's something everybody wants. Some people would die for this opportunities, right? And it is in the video, as it shows, all these people willing to go down the conveyor belt, down the pipeline for a shot. Right? And they'll go through the humiliation over and over and over again just for a shot, right? Then we're getting to the it's by this time for real. Tired of painting endless pictures of a life that isn't mine, which again could be kind of misconstrued as almost like an ideation of wanting to take her own life, perhaps. Or, this is, I think some people are kind of interpreting this in different ways, but I'm thinking it's almost like how Jim Carrey was, like, he had his era of there is no me. He's not the Jim Carrey character. He's not going to play that character anymore. Like, he wants to do other things. He had tried to do a lot more serious movies at the time, and they weren't being as well received, where now, like, Eternal Sunshine is getting the recognition it deserves, and some of these other serious movies he did. People are looking at it differently and starting to understand where he's coming from with it. But once you're kind of typecasted into a character and trying to shift out of that mold and just be yourself again, like, no matter what you're doing, it won't be accepted. But I think at this point, this is more what she's saying, is she's like slaughtering and imploding the image of what she had created, this monster that's been created, and she wants to get back to herself. She wants to be back to her own thing, that she's out there chasing, looking for love in all the wrong places, trying to fill these voids, trying to do the thing. If this is my curse, I'll let it ride, let it ride. And then goes into the some kind of catastrophe, so she's aware that she's kind of been fucking around, doesn't really know what she's doing, that she's had to struggle, she's trying to figure her shit out, and in spite of the SpongeBob situation, like, this obviously, she's this is in a way trying to take accountability for some of the stuff she's doing, like some of the situations she's been in, from, even maybe touching back on the whole Mac Miller stuff, which, if you think about the timing of this being released and his album Swimming when it was released, we're at 8 years to the day, I think, right now. So the timing of everything's interesting, but um, and it's a fucked situation, right? And again, it's she kind of plays it over. It's pretty straight to the point. The heartbreak won't bite. You're in paradise. You know, it's just keep getting the ovation. That's all they want from her, right? But then when you pair this with the video, you know, and then some of these other songs, this was the big feelings, which is referenced in the, and it's kind of it's more like erotic in a way. Which I mean, if you want to look into that one, you know, maybe we won't go too far into this one, but that's the one that was on the window in the diner at the end of that other video. But this video or this song, "Warning Signs," had also stood out to me because literally she's saying it like, here's some warning signs. Here's the warning signs to look out for, you know. And I think that maybe she does have a little more composure and a little more handle on the situation than maybe she's letting on. And I, you know, if she has been going through this therapy, she's going through all this stuff. I think, you know, there is a process. Sometimes you got to get, it gets a little worse before it gets better in some cases. And I hope she's getting the help that she needs. And I hope that this is progress in her journey and her healing journey and trying to figure stuff out. But this song on its own is like this seems more like a cry for help than what the other one would have. Um, Mac Miller haunts Ariana Grande for sure. What happened to Kat from Nick's show? Um, yeah, like it's a whole situation. It's a whole situation. I think that obviously too, as she's getting older, she's reflecting on how the industry is eating all these other people up, you know, and whether they end up no longer with us by accident or on purpose, it's almost besides the point. Either way, it's like trying to bury up this pain and the suffering and the trauma of whatever, and then coming into the industry that's already on its own. Like there's a lot. It takes its toll on people, you know. So here we go. Blind half the time. So you know, I like this because you know I'm always saying about the eyes wide open. Blind half the time. I run through all your warning signs. I wonder why I answer each time. You call me when your number's slide, and does it even make a sound? Um, I mean, again, this is up to each person can have their own interpretation. But the pain is my pain is music. Do you hear me everywhere? So it's like, you know, she's trying to this is an expression of the trauma. You know, wear me like your new tattoos, and yet your favorite muse just simply disappears. So it's like the passing trend. You know, it's up tattoos. You get them, they're fresh, they look bright and vibrant, and then they fade over time. Same for her. She's like the next passing phase. You know, she's had to try to keep ahead of the next newest hottest stars. You know, there's that new the next model of the next generation. Like, you know, we've got these the Sabrina Carpenter and the, you know, kind of going through that same pipeline, and then almost more of an accentuated version each time. Like they're getting even more it's getting a little more fucked up every time. You know, when you look at the contrast between Britney and Ariana, and then Ariana to like a Sabrina Carpenter or the Melanie Martinez or you know, some of these other younger music artists, it's or see there's you can kind of see where they're trying to go with it and how they're getting better at it each time. You know what I mean? Um, Monday I got you all over me. You love me like ecstasy. Make me see colors I haven't seen for a while. But Friday you're suddenly ghost to me. My wisdom has fled the scene. My voice plays in a taxi passing by, which kind of seems like it's like a relationship thing, like as if she's talking about like one night stands or situationships, or you know, it could be construed or interpreted in several different ways. But again, seeming almost like maybe she's speaking to society and to the fan base, to the people that are supposed to love her and be supporting her. You don't deserve me. You know you don't. You never have. But I want you to feel me. I wish someone could hear me. Right? So she just like, hello, can you just hear what I'm trying to say here? Here's my trauma. Here's the situation. Here's the problem. Here's, from her point of view, this pipeline that is creating these body issues, that's creating all of this struggle and trauma within the industry, that whether or not they come out of a trauma situation in childhood, at home, or just in the industry, or you know, having a one-time event or a prolonged event, it doesn't even matter. You know, there's different forms of trauma. There's big T and little t trauma. There's complex and whatever trauma, right? But anyway, so this is the Brighter Image Clinic, Brighter Days. She was sort of making a joke because obviously she was promoting her Eternal Sunshine album, which is a referencing to the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind Jim Carrey movie, which if you haven't seen that, you guys need to watch that. That's one of my all-time favorites. I've been talking about it forever. I talked about it in the Jim Carrey video I did, the Still Not Crazy Jim Carrey video, a million years ago. One of my first big ones, I guess, bigger videos that kind of set the stage, I suppose, for what I was trying to do here. Um, but that's one of those serious movies that it was very ahead of its time too, for what people are starting to talk about now, as far as the inner limits, of your mind, what your mind is capable of, what we are able to do as far as neuroscience and things like that, and stuff that's come out in the files too. There's some websites and stuff that had come up in the emails that we've been looking at, like the do-it-yourself transhumanism and bioengineering website, that some of these billionaire people trade ideas and secrets and information findings on their different homebrew type things, experiments and stuff, because all these people can just afford to have their own labs and their own scientists, their own little researchers, and do their own weird things. So there was one thing that I had seen that was kind of standing out to me of like the neurosurgery. There's like like the things that are like to manipulate and make changes to the psychology of things, not just doing physical changes of bioengineering and genetic engineering. But anyway, so the EMDR therapy, again, is like, that's one of the main modalities to treat complex trauma. I've seen that Justin Bieber, I believe, has done an EMDR therapy, because I have noticed that in some of the interviews he does, he's tapping uh, intermittently from both sides his feet, and that's sort of an EMDR to sort of regulate and bring the brain from side to side in such a way that it can kind of bring you back down to baseline, and help regulate through stressful situations, or like things that are triggering, or having to have difficult conversations, right? Like, and there's more to it, obviously. There's, like, I'm kind of simplifying it here for you guys. But you can check it out. It's an actual place. She wasn't actually meaning that she had her memories erased. She was having memories, treating memories that were painful for her. She was having dealing with them in such a way that for her, maybe this is like, okay, yeah, she's going over it, she's dealing with it, and she's gonna leave it in the past, and she's gonna just erase them and forget about it. Maybe that's how she's choosing to look at it. Maybe that's what the Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind represented for her, and it was her interpretation of it also, and why she had chosen to do an album called Eternal Sunshine. And so there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of creative symbolism. There's a lot of things she's trying to say without saying them. Um, but it's, yeah, to be able to control intrusive thoughts, constant worry, OCD like loops that don't respond to logic, leaving you exhausted. You feel you're stuck in the same cycles, patterns, relationships, reactions. If you're stuck in a program of conditioning due to trauma, to help deal with complicated relationships. Past keeps showing up in the present. It's basically trauma, dealing with the trauma, right? So if anything, she was kind of giving it a shout out, but while promoting her album of the Eternal Sunshine, right? So, not everything is like a total conspiracy thing, right? Like, I think it's easy to run with some of these things and to be like, oh my God, she had her mind erased, it's an MK thing, or it's this, or it's that. In some ways, these are MK techniques playing out in the industry, and in how some of these people are trained and groomed and conditioned to succeed in the industry. It is a little bit on the MK side of things, but it doesn't always mean it's an MK thing also. You know what I mean? Like, anybody could do some of these techniques. It's not always the military involved in it. But the patterns and the ways that people do coercive control and manipulative and conditioning and all these things, a lot of it is trauma-based control. It's a trauma-based control system, and the industry is very trauma-based control, as far as the humiliation of just going through it, and how she just represented it in the video on its own. Like, that on its own is a horrifying experience, and to have to keep going through it in order to succeed over and over and over again, kind of getting shat on. That on its own is a trauma, regardless of what other situations may have happened, what other Weinstein or whatever, Epstein, all these Steen situations, or like, the Dead Network situation. Like, there's all kinds of situations that we could bring up as an example. The Dan Schneider situation. Yeah, I don't think that I don't believe that they wiped her memory. It doesn't really work like that. I mean, you could, there's like different layers of hypnosis you could go to try to stop actively remembering certain things. Like, again, if you're in a loop of remembering certain things, or having recurring flashbacks, or recurring nightmares, recurring intrusive thoughts, there's ways to backtrack on that, or to try to just like put it in a lockbox and stick it in the back of your mind, under the stairs, and on a shelf in a lockbox of your brain. But it's not necessarily Like, obviously, you got to realize that half of it is theatrics, and that's the point of the video she was making too. Is, she's put this whole thing out on the stage of like this is her trauma, but at the end, is she acting or is she not acting? You know what I mean? Like, so again, kind of flipping the script, and which again kind of reminds you of the Mulholland Drive, because it's sort of like, is this the Hollywood dream or the Hollywood nightmare, and where does it start and where does it end, and who's who and what's what and what's even going on here? And that's the point, right? You're not really supposed to be able to get it fully. It's supposed to be up to each and every person's own interpretation, right? Lynch was trying to expose the corruption of such things in Hollywood, and Jim Carrey has tried to enlighten people, but it actually seems as though they're mocking them with the Petal video. Um, I guess in a way, like a little bit, perhaps in a way, but almost like making a mockery of the industry. It's like flipping it around and turning it inside out and having a different view of it. In general, you liked the song and the vid? You're a fan of any Bad Bees music video? Fair. Isn't she Italian too? There's mafia connection in Hollywood too. I'm not even sure actually what her exact background was. Gonna have to look into it. Um, what is her background? Okay, hold on. Sorry, guys. Oh, she was born in Florida. Sicilian, yeah, Sicilian and Abruzzese Italian, and she's like very serious Italian, I guess. I can't even pronounce that word, but Sicilian, I know about Sicilian. She was born in Florida, so like not born in Italy, but yes, I guess it's a little bit of the Italian is the ethnicity there. The person, yeah, the personal, the okay, yes, like, and that's something I feel like are gonna end up probably touching on tomorrow. Actually, here, let me bring this up for a second while we're getting to the end here, because I think that was kind of the long and short of it. I'm probably gonna wrap it up here soon, but we'll chit chat for a little bit. You guys can, yeah, we can weigh in a little more on what you guys are thinking about it. But this tomorrow, the Miley Cyrus is happening, but I think probably we'll end up talking a little bit about the Ariana Grande as well, and Obscure Nick too. Like Dez and Obscure Nick both have pretty strong feelings about this era of Ariana Grande, and just with what was going on in her sphere before. Like, there's some different opinions coming in from different sides, but kind of the same overall common denominators of understanding. So we're probably going to talk about it a little more here, and who all this all connects with, and like Des is looking at doing probably a video about Scooter Braun, which ends up connecting to the Justin Bieber and the Ariana Grande and a bunch of people. Actually, there's like a bunch of things going on there. The Kanye, which again then yes connects back to the Pasternak, which, and also the Kim K, who also connects to the Pete Davidson. There's a lot of like 2 degrees of separation happening in that sphere. If we go back and some of the things that Kanye's been trying to say, and just like, yeah, some of these connections in there are interesting. That I think, yeah, we're mainly going to be focusing on the Miley Cyrus, but because a lot of this stuff connects here on this side of the map, and I'm starting to get a little more of the music side of things filled out here, I'm sure we're going to end up touching a little bit on that. So I guess, tune in for that tomorrow. But yeah, the Pasternak thing, I've been going over into this for years, because that even connects to the Brittany Murphy situation, if you guys don't know. Which that I still need to get back to and wrap up the final episode of that, and then there's still some more episodes to John Bonet, and I still got the Reiner thing going, and the Casey Anthony, got tons of stuff going on, but these mind map sessions in between kind of just starting to show all the different connections between pretty much everything. Everything. It's not the 6 degrees of separation in Hollywood, it's the two degrees of separation. So you could almost go in any direction here and be running back into a lot of the same people, the same companies, the same, a lot of the same common denominators of truth. So we'll be checking into that. I'm trying to find, where's the freaking, there she is. Okay, Miley Cyrus. Some of these companies here too, and then we were sort of talking about the Hillary Duff recently also, because of the Robert Carradine had passed. And then yes, of course, like the Demi Lovato's in here, and Bella Thorne, I guess, is having a little bit of a comeback and doing an interview soon. That I was gonna I might be checking out. I don't know, I might not do it on a live or anything, but I want to check it out, because she's said a lot of stuff over the years of her experience within the Disney sphere. And I mean, this kind of was like somewhere between the Disney sphere breakdown and just like the predators and prey and all of those lost too soon along the way, all the red dots. So if you haven't been following the mind map, this is something to check out and catch up on and tune in, because this is sort of the bigger picture of what all of the videos I've been doing for like 10 years. How, this is the culmination of that. And the years going back, all these different, like I said, the predators. And there is the legend on here. If you guys go and you're watching, there's the replay videos too, but there is a legend that pops up. But if you do go to get the direct access through the Patreon, there's the legend there, so you can kind of have a closer look and figure out what it's saying and where these different hot spots are, and going back through the eras all the way around, and the whole River Phoenix and the Reiner situation, like it all connects back. Sort of how the map started, because I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just need to get it all out of my brain and onto a visual map here, because it is all connected, and I've been going in circles for years about a lot of this, and the patterns are there. Once you start seeing who all these kids connect to that didn't make it or had all these struggles, it starts to paint a different picture here. And again, all these people, a lot of them are like 1 degree of separation away from a predator, in different capacities, and especially in these child acting spheres. Anyways, I'll leave that at that. We don't want to go too far into that right now, because that's going to be a tomorrow thing. But it's a whole giant web, and it's a lot of the same common denominators of truth. It's just different settings, sometimes different people, different eras, whatever. But it's gotten huge. It's a whole thing. So we're kind of just getting back to it now. I was sort of taking a break for a little bit, and I've had some guests on here and there, and I've been trying to keep up here and there on it. But I do got to circle back to the Reiner here again soon, anyways, because of I think it's September, near the end of September, they have the next trial with Nick. So I kind of want to get up to speed on that. Have it chronologically caught up, at least with the history of everything to the current, so then we can kind of go from there. But yeah, there's gonna be lots and lots to chat about. And I think Dez is getting a little more gung-ho and ready to go full force into the, actually here, let's bring this back up again, the David situation, the D4BD, and how 1 degree of separation she is from all of that. And her brother was, had the same manager as this David guy for a time, and some of the stuff that she had witnessed and experienced, just kind of being there and around, and kind of helped chaperone and help keeping an eye on him at the time, because he was young and got brought into the industry, and it was a whole thing. It was a whole similar thing, but again, just the 1 degree of separation from this whole situation that now I guess we know he is going to trial. A lot more of the details were revealed there over that week or so that they were doing the preliminary stuff. He's got the arraignment coming up very soon, but now that this is all coming down the line, I think she's going to be ready to start talking about that a little more, because I think all of that's important too. That's very revealing of some of the darker layers of the industry, and some of the more the occult stuff. We were kind of talking about the Taylor Swift the other day, and it all kind of circles back to the darker layers as well. You remember when I first started it? Yeah. Well, this is like what, I guess like 6 months or so in the making now. I think it was like January, February I first started it, because I was just like, okay, I need to just get this on the map, because I started seeing how much it all connected, like between the Brittany Murphy and the Nick Reiner, the Rob Reiner, the Timothy Buzzfield thing that's going to come up again soon. I got to keep an eye on that when that's going to trial again, or whatever the next thing is with that, because that ties into the whole Iceberg sphere and Reiner sphere as well. Like, it all connects. Everything I've been doing almost like for the last 6 months is almost coming full circle to everything I had started this channel for, which is crazy. Because like, if you go back to some of the original the Dark Hollywood videos, the first couple ones, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I guess a few of them I talk about River Phoenix, but the Johnny Depp and the Red Hot Chili Peppers mainly, I was kind of mainly trying to cover the River Phoenix situation, but without saying it. Like, I was exploring the whole sphere around and everything that was going on around and leading up to, and then seeing these patterns, like these patterns of the addiction and the trauma and the, things that were checking off the boxes of being an MK adjacent situation, fitting the boxes to be a programmed, conditioned, groomed asset within the industry. And then what happens if you start pushing back, or the program is failing or the conditioning is failing, and they're starting to rebel and go rogue against the industry that created them or whatever, however you want to word it. But it's all coming full circle, and especially when like the whole Reiner situation happened, that was like a kind of confirmation almost for the TW theory I had released. It was November 2025, and the examples of trauma just for some of the scenes these kids are put into, some of them with various stages of undress or just traumatic scenes, because like a kid's nervous system doesn't realize it's just a movie. It's still going to be scared. It's still going to have an effect on the child, regardless, right? And so the Stand By Me had been one of the more disturbing examples, a lot right up there with like the It movies. Like there's, basically all these movies that connect to a lot of these red dots on the map. These TW theory movies, it's like it kind of almost is just showing that whether or not the trauma of the movie itself had done the damage, it was attracting adult fan bases that had an unnatural interest in children, which was not great. So anyways, I'd written that article in November of 2025, and again, yes, with the Stand By Me and with River Phoenix being one of the examples of that. And then a month later, Nick Reiner is now the suspect of the double homicide of both the parents, right? So at that point, I'm like, okay, this is all just coming full circle. We're ripping off the Band-Aid. The trauma infection is getting rancid. It's it's starting to fester. It's getting smelly, and now we can see it. So that's when it kind of was like, okay, we got to go back to square one here and go full circle once again, because it's almost even more further highlighting what I was getting at with those earlier videos with River Phoenix and with so many others along the way. Like if you watch any of these other Dark Hollywood videos, people used to complain, like, why is this about all these other people and, like, not just about Drew or just about Charlie Sheen, and it's like, I don't think people realize how if all of your colleagues and friends and people, like, around you are dropping dead or struggling with drugs, like, probably that's going to also affect you. Like, people think that these people are, like, robots and that, their friend dies that week, but they showed up for a movie shoot thing and they were smiling, so everything must be fine. Well, that's not really the case, if everyone around you is struggling and there's predators and all this stuff happening around you, that is also going to take a toll on that person, right? So in a way of Drew being a hub or Charlie being a hub, it's an opportunity to explore all the darkness in that sphere, the predators and the prey and those lost along the way in that sphere, right? So all of that from then is basically what has now made it on the map, and then it's kind of now becoming more of a group project where now that like I got my whole brain out on the map, I can have other people coming on and pointing some stuff out, and you guys too, like every map session, sometimes you guys are noticing or just elaborating on different parts of it, like the Tom Skerritt the other night. You guys, we were talking about here, I'll bring it up again, we were talking about the Tom Skerritt. I did manage to get him connected up into the different spots here, but how he was connecting to Drew way back when in that Poison Ivy movie, and then some of the stuff along the way since then. How all that connected, and there's that repeated pattern of those Lolita type movies, and how on its own, in a way, putting these kids through those movies was like a conditioning and a grooming in a way, because those were happening over and over again, in different settings, different people. But yeah, that's all on here. It's like, this is really the only way, people have been trying to say a lot of this stuff for years and years, but I feel like seeing the visual and how many red dots and how closely they connect to certain situations, and some of the repeat connections, like this Bob Lard guy keeps showing up in all the wrong places over time, in the way that this all connected to that one main network in the 90s, and there's just so many things. There's so many things now that it just makes it more and more clear that we're getting to a point, if people still don't get it, what's going on here, that it's not just these kids have problems, it's not the disease of addiction, the disease is the trauma and whatever these kids are being put through going into this industry, and especially from such a young age, and with parents that are willing to just be like, yeah, just do whatever the nice man in the suit says, like, let's just go along with whatever, Yeah, holy shit, it actually is getting really big. I still gotta like reorganize it though and move some stuff around, because I've fully boxed myself in some spots where there's just too many overlaps, and it's gonna get a little bit confusing. And then I can't fit anything else in some of these spots where there needs to be more people in there. So that's a work in progress. But tomorrow it's gonna be a mind map session for Miley mainly. But as you can see, that does connect to a bunch of stuff. Where is it? Lost it again. Oh, here we go. But anyway, yeah. So if you guys are into that, tune into that tomorrow. And it was just a little map, now it's huge. Yeah, it's come a long way for sure. It's been just like getting bigger and bigger all the time, which is like, yeah, it's kind of a lot. It's been a lot to process too once you really do see literally how much it connects. Like you can kind of think about it in your brain and as you're going over the years and seeing the connections, but when you actually put it right all together on the one map, it's yeah. Yeah, it's a whole time. Yeah, Lord of the Flies is one of those main TW theory themes actually that seem to be a favorite theme because I guess it was allowing there to be so much of the opportunistic stages of undress for these kids. And actually, the Lord of the Flies, all right, we're going to go into it quickly because that does pertain to the Reiner stuff too. And since we are going to be circling back to that also here very soon. But the Lord of the Flies it wasn't him directing, but it was a Castle Rock Entertainment movie. And it was filmed in Hawaii, which, so, like, parts of it were in Hawaii, and that, I have this Hawaii theory happening next. So there was the TW theory was sort of in development. It's sort of it's taken shape. The Hawaii theory is next, and it's almost taking enough shape now that I'll be able to do a little article on that and what that means and how that all connects. But the Lord of the Flies, there's something strange was happening while they were filming that, and the overlaps of some of the other movies that were being done at the same time seemed very opportunistic, and they'd happened to where is it here? Hold on, I don't know if I actually even have the actual. Nope, that's Lord of the Rings. I don't know if I even have it on here yet. I've talked about it though. It might be one that I haven't been able to fit on here yet, but it's in here because it's Castle Rock. Shoot, yeah. I don't know, whatever, we'll get there. It's been in the videos. I've been covering it in the videos, just not on the map yet. But again, there's stuff where I maybe can't fit it yet because it's got to go in here somewhere. But anyways, the Lord of the Flies, when they were doing it, they had their like 24 kids that they'd brought over to Hawaii to do this movie, and they really wanted to film this scene in the grass, like them walking through the grass, for this one segment, and so they instead, like, I guess the kids weren't tall enough to be seen over the height of the grass. So instead of finding a different spot to do the scene, they needed body doubles of all of the kids. They decided to get all of the kids over again, duplicated for this one scene in Hawaii too. So in like 48 hours, their casting directors or whatever had to find 24 more kids in Hawaii to do the scene. But then that means they had 40 some odd kids that they would have hanging around the set and in just in the region with their loincloths and whatever the heck, various stages of undress, like just any opportunity to get this another batch of kids, that it just seems kind of unnecessary, and then some of these scenes of the nudity just seem unnecessary, like the tighty whitey scenes in so many movies, these kids movies, where they normalized it. And it's like, yeah, kids sitting at home in the tidy whities, it's not a big deal. But when this kid's getting broadcasted into millions of homes where somebody might be gratifying themselves to that kid in the tidy whities, well, now we got a problem, right? So same with the Lord of the Flies. The Lord of the Flies and like Tarzan and some of these themes seem to have come up again and again. The Tom and Huck also, like the Huckleberry Finn, there seems to be some lore there. That I'm kind of working my way around to making sense of. I think it's on here somewhere with the Tom and Huck was there's a couple kids that passed that was in the Tom and Huck, and then Jonathan Taylor Thomas quit forever. So that Blake Heron, who was also in Shiloh, and then Brad Renfro was in the Tom and Huck. And then, there's just these little things that you notice of like, well, maybe that's why Jonathan Taylor Thomas quit for 10, 15 years or whatever, that there was a lot of weird stuff going on and his friends were dying around him, so this is where this stuff comes into play, right? Like that, yeah, your friend dies, probably that has an effect. And then we know Zachary Ty Bryan has had some issues, the other co-star from Home Improvement, which like brings us back to the Tim Allen and the Tom Hanks situation with we've been talking about the Toy Story, the history of Toy Story and the Masonic Temple and all the stuff going on with that. So yeah, like if for some of you guys are some newer here and just joining now, this is some stuff we've been tracking that all connects back, and in the iceberg files and the mind map, and we're getting to it, and I love when an artist does something like what Ariana's done right now, is because she's confirming this stuff that what people have been trying to say all these years, and trying to highlight and show the viciousness of some of these spheres, you know, and how cutthroat it is and dog eat dog, and you know, it's not a healthy environment for anyone to be in, let alone raising kids in it, trying to bring kids up in it. Um, yeah, right on. Thank you. God saves cats. I like that. I like that. Sci-fi ecology. Yeah, don't even get me started on that. There is a side of the map here. We're starting to get into that and make some connections there too, like with the Danny Masterson and that whole thing, the Ashton Kutcher situation. That kind of comes up too in the Brittany Murphy, but it comes at like a lot of the same stuff keeps coming up, like in this whole Iceberg Files. You know, you start to see a lot of the same people coming up, and it's like it becomes like how many coincidences until it's suspicious, right? So yeah, the Miley tomorrow's gonna be good, and I just rewatched. We were talking about rewatching the Black Mirror episode. So maybe if you guys want to do some homework ahead of that, the Black Mirror episode, season 5, episode 3, with Miley Cyrus. It's saying a lot. I'm probably gonna watch it again. I watched it earlier in between some of this Ariana stuff, but I'm probably gonna watch it again because then I got watching the Wicked movie in between also because I want to get a little more familiar with this Ariana thing, and I hadn't really gotten the chance to fully watch the new Wicked movies and stuff. And so I feel like uh, there's probably been more that she's been trying to say, and that they've kind of been overshadowing her with making all of this stuff about her body image when it's like this is what she's been battling the whole time, and then they're weaponizing it against her. You know, and I think that the Wicked movies actually were really good. The one that I watched was really good. I haven't fully watched the second one. I kind of put it on, but then it was kind of in the background here. So I do want to watch that more in completion before I really do an analysis on it. But obviously, I talk a lot about the Wizard of Oz symbolism and themes and make those references in my work here. You know, in the Red Brick Road, the follow the Red Brick Road side of things, right? Um, so I do want to have a closer look at that because I think that it was a good performance. It was a really good movie, but a lot of people were so focused on whatever was going on with Cynthia and her and their body image situation that that kind of overshadowed what the movies were trying to say. So you know, I think we're all needing to kind of circle back to some things, and we owe these people an apology. I think at some point here we're gonna owe Ariana an apology for this backlash she's been getting for this video because I think it's being taken completely wrong. A lot of people are totally misconstruing the point she's trying to make, right? So I just hope more people can kind of figure it out and become a little more aware. You know, because it's not the first time people have been trying to make these sort of statements. It's just a different medium, you know, a different mode of doing so, different creative expression of doing so, you know. The anti-diarrhea is almost very similar too, which I think that's probably going to have to happen soon. That's something I've been sitting on for a while to come back to, which is actually a lot of MK referencing also in the programming from the childhood and with the use of the colors and stuff. She's saying a lot, the Rihanna one. So maybe we got to go through and do some of these and go back and check out the Yummy video because I've talked about it in the past too, and while I was doing the Diddy coverage and stuff. But I think to you know, with so much more that's been revealed and confirmed, and now that these celebrities are confirming more things themselves, that to review it won't hurt. The whole city, Rihanna of All the Lights featuring Kanye and Jay-Z. I don't know about that one. I'd have to check that one out too, but definitely a collective consciousness working together. There is definitely a lot more the Great Awakening, more of the awareness where we can actually start to be like, okay, now we know, now what? You know, we're getting to that point where almost people are more on the same page of things. So now we can kind of start to figure out what we need to do about it. Because it can't be ignored at this point. Like there's no way to ignore it now. And when you look at the map, when you look at the pipeline, and you look at literally, she's demonstrating the pipeline, right? Like the conveyor belt of people and how that you know how that works. Oh yeah, Mackenzie Phillips, the Mamas and the Papas, that whole situation. I think what is it called? High on Arrival. I think her book's called, or is that the other one? One of the other. I don't know. There's so many good ones though that it's like to revisit that I'd read before. Even like Sally Fields in Pieces is a good one to go back and revisit. The Anne Heche stuff, which I'm going to be covering that a little bit more in the next part of this Degeneracy Files. But again, it all connects in such a way, so you can pretty much go whichever direction. You're still going to come back to the main the same common denominators of truth, right? They use the Wizard of Oz for programming in Scientology. I believe that in an Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, well, and same with MK, but if anything, the Scientology and like some of these other extremist religious, faith-based, whatever things, they're using MK techniques to maintain control of their people. And in the same way, society is trying to control the masses. Like, if anything, it's all the same thing. It's just different variations of it and different extremes of it. Obviously, you have the more extreme military level techniques versus stuff that's playing out just in households. If you got a parent that's ruling by fear and violence and, emotional violence too, psychological violence, warfare, that's a conditioning. That's creating a programming. Like, that's creating it's an imprint on a mind that can be long lasting and affecting somebody in their adulthood, right? How they behave. And that's what MK was to mind and behavioral control, It's all the trauma based systems is what makes it a little more effective. And that's the kind of society we live in, when you start looking at it that way, you start to understand what a lot of these trauma events were for. These different psyops and false flag events and all these things, right? So we're going to get into it more for sure. As we're getting more on the same page, which is great. I think there's so many more people are getting there now that we can move forward now. Where I feel like we've all been spinning in circles for decades, like spinning tires even for the last 10 years of going in circles on the same stuff, trying to get everybody on the same page here. And now we're finally here, right? So we can kind of go deeper into it. You've been looking at Hawaii, something alphabet related, definitely going on. Oh, 1,000%. I've been there's more confirmations too, and I'm kind of thinking about how exactly to approach it. And it probably will just be like another article, like how I was doing the TW theory and the NAMBLA files and the other stuff that I can't necessarily talk about on here so much still. Like, I know that we've kind of opened up the can of worms and can talk more about things here, which is great. But it's still got to tread carefully because, still can't get too far ahead or they start, problems start happening. We'll just say. Sally Fields surely was the first Ariana Grande type. In a way, yeah, when you think about what she went through in her childhood, and very similar to Anne Heche. And a lot of these people, a lot of the most successful A-list actors or actresses had some complex trauma in childhood, and that they were able to kind of harness that and make use of that in their acting, right? And in being able to become other characters and to kind of dissociate from the horrors and all the things happening around them, from their colleagues, bad things happening to colleagues. Like, it's, they could separate themselves from that. But I think it's getting harder more and more to dissociate as a society, and people are more and more attuned, and now we can talk about it more. So why wouldn't we? Why don't we start getting to the root of the issue and stop having our own traumas being weaponized against us to control us and to manipulate us and to, turn us into obedient consumers. Tax and debt slaves, basically. Like, that's the matrix. That's the matrix slavery, narcissistic cult matrix that we all live in, right? The alphabet, like the intelligence services, there's different ones for different countries, but the one in the US, there's the different secret intelligence agencies, the covert agencies that have done these different techniques, that have been using MK adjacent techniques. Like, I don't know how much we're even able to say still anymore, so I'm still gonna, like I said, tread carefully around certain things. Yeah, that's my figure in, like, Hawaii, and there's just too many confirmations now too that there is a little bit more of the occult thing happening. There's more confirmation to some of the little theories that like in how I was coming to the conclusion with the TW theory, and before I finally got to the point of making it into an article, kind of getting to that point now with the Hawaii. I've got enough to put it together to make it make sense. It's not as much a theory as it is, it makes sense. I've got enough to back it up anyways now. And we were kind of talking about it the other day too on the Taylor Swift stream. And even like with Obscure Dick when they're on too, like it's been sort of been discussed over the past little while, the Hawaii thing. Different people have some different theories on it too. Like, everybody's kind of like, oh yeah, there is something a little weird with the Hawaii thing. So I'm gonna be circling around that a little bit more. The Moana, yeah, well, and then you see, yeah, there's like a lot of movies that are like that are the setting is Hawaii, right? Like it's an animated film, and like Lilo and Stitch, where like the kid from that just died recently too, which was really sad and connected to so many things, including Reiner and Diddy and everything. But yeah, there's the themes of like, okay, the setting, of the reoccurring settings of like the glorification of Hawaii, obviously. But a lot of movies where it's like it didn't even have to be there. It's like they made a movie with a plot just so they could go be in Hawaii for it, you know? Like this Birds of Paradise that Timothy Busfield was in, and Seth Green and Jennifer Love Hewitt, and just kind of interesting group of people. At the same time that Rob Reiner was doing this movie North with Elijah Wood, and who has said, you know, all this weird stuff's going on in the industry with predators and stuff. And that was a whole cast of characters. Like the movie was just created just so that they could have all these people and be in this certain place. Kind of seemed like the story, it wasn't as much about the plot than it was about the location. And then at the same time that Jurassic Park had just wrapped up filming. There's that overlap there. So it was like, you guys all happen to be there at the same time, and then with the you know, certain things happening at the same time, it makes you question, like, maybe it's not even about the movies, it's not even about the, you know, it's more of the opportunity to get all these kids and all these adults in the same place for certain things. We don't know. I don't know. Like, this is where it's like, it's up to you guys to decide what you think about it. Make of it what you will, right? I'll bring what I know to the table, and then we'll discuss. But yeah. Yeah. No, no, not the holding company, not the Alphabet Corporate. We're talking about the Special Operative Services. It's M13, CIA, fucking the Canadian Defense. Any of these, any of these special secret ops services, intelligence services, whatever the fuck. They're different in all these places, so it's not even just CIA. But I think that this, I think we can talk about the CIA. They've started admitting it. They're releasing all these documents admitting it. We've had the NK oversight hearing, so I think we can speak about it a little more candidly. But yes, location-based productions, and with Hawaii kind of being a very good example of it, but also like New York. Uh, you know, there's some other places that can kind of extend from that theory, I think, a little bit. So we'll get into it more. But anyways, I think that was probably good enough for now, for tonight, on that. And yeah, we'll be following up tomorrow anyways and getting a little more into this. And I think at least, yeah, I think we're getting progress here at least now. I feel like this is a win with what she was doing, with what Ariana's doing. I feel is a win. Like she's just dropped an atom bomb on the industry of truth, you know, and it's very validating, I think, for the people that have been trying to point these things out and have been trying to help people see this. Like so now that they're saying it for themselves, you know, it doesn't make it so far fetched to think of what other horrors might be the reality for them, you know? Feeding the beast of the Hollywood, yeah, of the Hawaii base operations. Yeah, there's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on. I think that it's like, you know, there's always that one hand washing the other. And yeah, it's just a lot. But there's always the common denominators of truth. Kids Incorporated in Toronto. I don't know if I didn't know there was one in Toronto. I know there was a Kids Incorporated show way back when that Fergie and Brittany Murphy were on. Fergie had a lot of problems after being on that show and before she got doing the Black Eyed Peas. But maybe there's one in Canada too. That's the side of things I do need to start looking at more, is the Canadian side of stuff, because obviously it's probably just as bad, if not worse, maybe, because there's not as much attention on what's going on up here within these industries. But even actually the Miley Cyrus, one of the mystery school thing that she was doing for a while there, there's a location near Toronto that I was wanting to check out sometime. That when I was talking about it, mentioned it, weird stuff started happening, so I sort of pivoted away from it. But maybe it's worth revisiting again. And if we're talking about the Miley tomorrow, and Corey Haim too, he's buried not very far from that same location, which is interesting enough. But yeah, he was a Canadian boy. I think he was very naive, and I think he was kind of fed to the sharks in a way. So I'm gonna kind of get back on that too. The Corey Feldman's not necessarily as good of a friend as I think that he wanted everyone to believe he was when it came to Corey Haim, and the way he's leveraged that. You know, Corey actually admitted that the Stand By Me was on the verge of homoerotic child homoerotica, and would be of interest to old pervs or whatever, however he said it. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but the homoerotic is his words. um, homoerotic art. Um, so he was saying that, and he had admitted that, but then when the 40th anniversary thing was going on, and I brought up uh, Nick Reiner and River Phoenix, I ended up getting blocked. So after having that interaction with me and admitting it, like, I don't know, it was a little interesting. So then I started looking into him more though, and what his real stance is on things, because it seemed a little more opportunistic. That you can't stick up for River Phoenix and Nick Reiner in the way that you're sticking up for Corey Haim that whole time. And then when you go back and watch the two Corys, though, there's a whole other story playing out there, and the way that he was treating them, and the way that he was leveraging them and using them in a way, um, and pushing all his buttons. He literally told him to go kill himself in one of the episodes, and it wasn't very long after that show that he didn't make it. It's another sad story. It's all the same though. All these red dots on this map. It's all a lot of the same pattern over and over again, and in some cases, it's a lot of the same people behind the scenes. This is where you start to see the hot spots. Yeah, Kids Incorporated. I'm gonna have to look into that. Cause yeah, I think it's something else. There was like the mini Kids Bop. Fucking, I don't even know. There was different ones over the years, and there was different infomercials for like the kids. There was like the kids CDs. They'd have this little kids group, and they would be doing covers of like the hit songs and stuff. Like there was different eras of weird stuff happening that was similar to the Kids Incorporated. If that wasn't also a thing here. But yeah, just the Canadian history in general. Because we had YTV instead of Nickelodeon, and we had like Teletoon. I don't know if you guys had Teletoon. I think maybe some other place had Teletoon, but Teletoon Retro and like some of these other things, like it was different a little bit. Some of it was different in Canada. What was served to us and how it was presented to us was different. But then not all that much different either. A lot of it was quite the same in ways, right? Mini Pops, maybe that's it. Like mini kids pops, fucking I don't even know. But they had like these. It would be like a mixed CD every year. It was almost like the Big Shiny Tunes type thing, but for kids. And it would be like the child version of it too. Like it would be a little more censored, a little more G-rated than the Shake Your Ass, Watch Yourself kind of thing. There was different versions. You know what I mean? Like it'd be those kinds of songs, those hip hop and rap and whatever songs, pop songs, but that were not appropriate for kids. But then they would change the lyrics a little bit to make it okay for kids, and then have the kids singing it. Yeah, there's a lot, and there's a lot of ways that the music industry and the child entertainment industry, it all overlapped a lot over the years too. Um, it was mini pops. Also, your mom was on a show called Popcorn Playhouse. Ooh, yeah, that just, I don't even like the way that sounds. That made my stomach churn a little bit reading that. Okay, hold on, I'm looking that one up. Uh, I like it. Live show airing 5 days a week on CFRN TV Studios Edmonton, where personality. Okay, hold on. This is actually obscure. Nick probably would know more about this thing because they're into this whole history of all this stuff a little more so. TV personality Eric Neville hosted 36 different children Monday, Friday television shows on what was described as appointment viewing. The log cabin setting for the show featured a gold mine, muskeg the moose, and interviews and games for how Canadian. Interviews and games for children between the airing of cartoons. Okay, so basically the same as like with YTV, like the Zone and stuff like that, which we were just talking about the other day too, yesterday. Um, it's all coming back. Came known as Klondike Eric at the Klondike Days was starting in Edmonton. Popcorn Playhouse quickly became one of the most popular shows aired by the station, and its appeal got noticed by national sponsors, including General Foods and Mattel, who bought out the show months in advance. Kids didn't care much about the advertising revenue, though. They were just excited to be on it. Of course. 36 children sat in 2 wooden bleachers, 6 kids in each row, with the host in the middle. When it was time to talk to the children, he held the microphone in front of each of them, moving row by row, asked each child their name, age, what they wanted to be when they grew up. An article following the death of its beloved host in 2015, which 2015 keeps coming up, interestingly enough. You guys have been watching the last few things here, live streams and just videos in general. 2015 keeps popping up for some reason. I don't know. Tickets were at a premium, and only about 1 of 10 tickets requests were successful. If you got an invite to the show, you went. Okay. So somehow I was on the show on my 7th birthday with my cousin Jeff, who was the same age. If it was your birthday, there were some extra special things you got to do, including digging up lining up to dig in the gold mine. I picked up a shovel, dug into the big sandbox, and dumped a shovel full into the sifter, and the host shook, revealing how much gold I found. It was nickels wrapped in foil, and over the run of the show, it amounted to about 150,000 given to guests with birthdays, which would have been a lot back then. That's a good amount of money back then. I think I came away with 3 coins. I also won an A&W baby mug, which I absolutely loved and still have. That's exciting. It's sitting on my desk holding paper clips and I treasure it. Yes, it was a promotional item. Yes, it could have been purchased at any one of its franchises. Here, one sec, actually. Let me bring this up so you guys can see the fucking article I'm reading. I'm just, like, reading it into the Netherverse here. There it is. There it is. Okay. Let me get a little bigger here. Promotional item. Yes, it could have been purchased at any of its franchises, but it's one that means so much to me because I took it home from Popcorn Playhouse. Popcorn twists, candy, and birthday cake were served each episode. Cake, candy, excitement, nerves, and hot lights proved a recipe for trouble, and since the show was live, apparently the crew got very good at cleaning up after upset tummies. Awesome. Wonderful. The studio, which is now a CTV station, held a one-time return to Popcorn Playhouse to mark the station's anniversary. A new generation of children sat in the bleachers along with a woman whose appearance was delayed by decades after her family's car accident on the way to the show when she was a child. The anniversary episode, she was invited to sit in the bleachers with her own young children 30 years later, as she told the story of being in a police station watching Popcorn Playhouse the day she was supposed to have been there. Oh no. Interesting though, okay. This is the whole thing, and this is just somebody's recollection of it, but so this is interesting, this is funny. I didn't even know about this. No tapes of the show exist, so the few things I recall are a moment I wonder why. That makes it shadier. That's even shadier that they got rid of, they just scrubbed it. I don't like that. Kind of makes it extra special. Referred to this experience as my TV debut, which would imply there were follow-up appearances, but there weren't. It was a one-time thing. Sometimes we have moments that are not life-changing, but are ones you simply carry with you to be brought to mind whenever needed. In what can often feel like a complicated, perplexing, and problematic world, it's awfully nice to draw on an innocent memory and just sit with it for a while. Or maybe it's as simple as being inspired to draw on childlike moments and remind ourselves that it might take many years, but dreams can come true. Whether we're 7 or 70, we need to be excited to play, enjoy being in the moment, and always go for the gold. Well, that's kind of nice. That's a nice memory for it, but there's definitely something weird happening there too. There has to have been something weird. There's a reason that they got rid of all the episodes, and it's just a little bit I don't know. Definitely worth looking into more, a little more, because there's like, oh yeah, there's a whole Canadian side to all of this, and yeah, I just don't know. Over here, you graduated. There you go. Yeah, we got the acronyms Aurora in Australia. Sorry. But yeah, no, that's worth checking into. I do want to like start looking in more into the Canadian lore, the old school, like the Nickelodeon stuff when they had like the theme parks and shit. Like things just aren't as what they used to be either. I feel like they used to at least put more effort into making things exciting for kids, and now it's just more so like trying to hypersexualize everything and trying to rapidly adultify them, you know? So times sure have changed, haven't they? Anyways, guys, yeah, I think we're gonna leave it at that. I appreciate yous. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday. You have a good afternoon, evening, or good night, whichever it is for you on whatever side of the world you're on. But yeah, much love. Stay out of trouble. Don't be down any rabbit holes for far too long. Stay hydrated, you know. Make sure you come up for air and touch grass. But yeah, much love, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow.
This video has been brought to you by Patreon, where I post bonus and uncensored content. Everything's free to all members, but paid subscribers get early access, with some other features and benefits depending on the tier. Mainly just a way to help support the cause. Big thank you to all of those who are already doing so. If you'd like to give a one-time pledge of support, rather than committing to a monthly subscription, you may do so via paypal.me/Tesmosis. A great big thanks to everyone who stuck through to the very end. You're the true blue gems. I appreciate all of your support, the kind and respectful discussions we're able to have about such sensitive topics, and for keeping your eyes wide open in these crazy and confusing times we're living in. Please don't forget to hype, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll Catch you on the flip side.
Red bricks crumble under my feet, a path that whispers a cursed heartbeat. Shadows stretch long, they know my name. Every step forward, it's all